Hi guys, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we are going to be listening to the chat that I had with Yanran. She is an amazing, gifted, talented singer-songwriter from Shanghai. I've been lucky enough to play with her a couple of times. She has a very, very bright future indeed. But before we listen to that, please find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates. And you can also stream us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. And for all of our Russian friends, we also have a page now on VK. So hopefully next week we'll be able to be streaming from VK as well. And at the end of the conversation, we'll be able to listen to one of the Yanran songs. It's in Chinese, but if you go to her website, you'll be able to listen to some of her older material. Okay, here is our interview with Yanran. On Tell Craig Your Story. Hey Yanran, how are you?
Hey Craig, I'm good. How are you?
Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. So, as with all my interviews, I like to do some research about you. But you were very, very difficult to find online, Google, a mystery woman. But I have seen you play twice now, and I found a little bit on your WeChat. So let me go through this and tell me.
Why am I so mysterious?
Well, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't. I saw a couple of modeling pictures, lots of acoustic shows. But let's go through what I've researched. Very basic. Local musician from Shanghai, correct?
Right. I've been living in Shanghai for 5 years.
Yeah.
Originally, I'm from Nanjing. So, yes, I've been living in Shanghai, but I just started to do music since almost 3 years ago.
Right.
So I felt like I was still pretty new to the thing, to be honest. Yeah.
And why did you decide to come to Shanghai for? Is it the very popular, the biggest city in the world, populated world?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good question because I think before that I was kind of like traveling all around the world a little bit for schools and
yeah, right.
I had my own startup back then as well, but then I think in 2015 I moved back to Shanghai to kind of like get a different jobs and just like settle down a little bit. So
what jobs were you?
So when I first moved to Shanghai, I worked in a advertising agency.
Okay.
So I did that for a year and a half, and then I started to do freelancing on video production. Nice. So I did that for like another 2 years, and at the same time I started doing music on the side. So I kind of started doing gigs in Shanghai 3 years ago, but that was kind of like fun projects. It's like a hobby. So I didn't really take it that seriously. And I kind of did it for another 1 year before I kind of decided that, okay, I kind of want to give it a shot,
Yeah.
So that was when I started DJing and started to do singing gigs.
Nice. Had you always played music even as a kid?
Yeah, I've always loved to sing.
Yeah.
I always sang. I just grew up always singing and listening to music, and I've always felt like music is my best friend, because my childhood, like, I felt like very lonely a lot of the time. So yes. Music's always there for me, and singing is just something I naturally do. So I actually won a lot of schools singing competitions and stuff. So it just comes very naturally to me.
So if I think about it from like an outsider looking at a Chinese school, and I've been to lots of schools here in China, they don't really being a singer and wanting to be music.
Right.
That wouldn't be something that your parents would want or the school would want. So how did that affect you? Did that does that stop a lot of people?
That's such a good question. I do have my own personal story regarding this kind of.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, right. Yes, you're correct. In general, parents and society doesn't really value artists in China. In general, I think it has to do with the fact that we are doing this transition between from a country that's suffering from poverty like 30-40 years ago to now, like people are trying to accumulate in wealth. So I feel like people are really focusing on the economic aspect of people's life and less focused on the artistic side or spiritual side of it. So as an artist or as someone who's doing art, it's not really valued or encouraged by parents. Like parents want you to have a good jobs and everything. So yeah, that's definitely, if you say you want to be a singer, or musician, or an artist, Chinese people's first reaction is like, oh, because you can't really do well in school.
Yes.
You can't really get a good job, so you have to do the entertainment stuff. Yeah. But that's a very that's just not the correct mentality. But unfortunately, that's how I thought as well growing up here, because I just didn't have access to other information. So I always thought like, okay, I gotta do well in school. I gotta do this and that. I just never thought music's a career choice. And also I remember, because I really like to sing, so my mom took me to my piano teacher when I was like around 10 years old.
Right.
And she's like this very old school grandma sort of thing. So she asked me to like sing some random stuff, and I was very nervous. And she just told me that I don't have a good voice.
Oh.
And she said, you're not built for, singing career. So that...
Is
that
like
kind of
from
stops me.
Is that from like a classical
Yes,
sense?
exactly.
Right.
That's exactly the problem. Like, well, first of all, she teaches piano in the local high school, so she's not professional to begin with.
Right.
But because we were, back then there was no internet. There was like a long time ago. So we didn't know better, right? And also she approached this from a very classic singing perspective, and also just from a very limited idea of what singing is. Like she doesn't even know modern music.
That's right. Yes.
So yes, so I felt like that discouraged me on a very subconscious level. So it was until the recent couple years that I started to feel like, okay, the world's
discovering
world's changed in China. We're different, and there's opportunity to be able to pursue what you truly like.
That's great, and I can see that as well. There's definitely an underground here in Shanghai, and in other places as well. Having the opportunity to go out and create music and play music, I like that.
I feel like young kids these days are very lucky.
Yes,
they're born in the internet age, right?
Yes.
So they have more access to like what's going on actually globally, and they can be more open-minded more easily. But when I was young, like there's no internet or anything.
Yeah.
So you basically believed what you were told. And of course, in China, like kids are not encouraged to pursue what they love.
So what music? It's an interesting question. What music were you listening to at that stage? Like, is there anything that I would know?
Yeah, of course. So I pretty much stopped listening to Chinese music since I was like 13, 14. Right. I was never truly into it, but then I discovered in the local CD shops these CDs of Mariah Carey, Alicia Keys, Christina Aguilera, like all these R&B singers, and I love them so much. And then that's pretty much the start of my whole passion for music, pretty much. So I would say I'm like very, very influenced by those type of music, and that's also how I learned to sing. Like it's very R&B stuff. Right. So,
but for you, did it come natural to be a singer? Like even when you were a young kid, did it just come natural to you?
It's very natural. I still remember the first time I ever performed on stage was when I was 6 years old. So it was the graduation ceremony of my kindergarten.
Yeah.
So I was selected to be the lead singer of my class. As a kid, like you really didn't give it too much thought.
Yeah.
Like the teacher was asking, "Oh, who want to sing?" So I just raised my hand, and I was good. So I was a lead singer. So that was like the first time I performed. Even from what I remember, I was never nervous on stage. I loved it.
Right.
And later on, when I started to like singing these, American music and
Yes.
sing along, it just came very naturally. So I think singing is a very natural thing for me.
Yes, I agree. And even with an instrument as well, like especially the drums, where you've got to use more than one sort of arms and legs, and the beat. Sometimes you either have it or you don't have it. It comes natural to you, or you've got to practice for years and years. So.
Right. Regarding instruments, I also have a very good story. I was trained classically in piano for like almost 7-8 years, since I was maybe 5 years old or 6 years old. I just took classes, but still it's a problem. You know what I'm about to say, right?
No, I just wanted to stop, because coming as an outsider and looking at it, because I've met a lot of poor families in these rural villages in China, and they say if the parents getting their children to play piano lessons, then that means they have a bit of money. So were your parents sort of well off compared to other families in Nanjing?
Yeah, I would say my family is definitely middle class.
Middle class, okay.
But it's just like, at least in Nanjing, for middle class kids.
Right.
Piano is not like that expensive, I guess. It's just a trend.
Yes.
It's not like, because everybody's learning piano at the time. It's not necessarily a pursuit of art type of thing. It's more like, it's a type of idea that people want to, or the parents want to have, like, about their kids. It's like, oh, they play an instrument. It's like an extra point for their whole school work or whatever. It's just, also, I believe at the time, if you want to get into like high school or something, if you play instruments, you get a certificate up to some level, then you can.
Better opportunity.
Yeah, there's like more opportunities for you to like be able to get in, something like that.
Did your parents play an instrument, or did they sing as well?
Not at all.
They didn't do it that early?
No.
Okay. So how do you think, like, it just amazed me, like, I'm very similar to your as well, like, my mum and dad were like a middle class as well, and my dad liked music, never played an instrument, and my mum was in like choirs in school but never pursued it. Talking to Vivian as well and a couple of other people, I bring one CD out, form a band, play the guitar, learn guitar by myself, bring a CD out, bring a second CD out, bring a third CD out. My mum's like, how do you do this? How do you play? How do you write a song? How do you play the guitar? Like, no one showed you to do it. And it's, sometimes it just comes naturally, right?
Right. I believe it's, if you are really feeling it, then, because as a kid, you don't really think that much about things you want to do. You just know, okay, I like to do it. So I just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm always very jealous of those musicians who are actually from a kind of musical backgrounds, a family. I mean, like, their parents don't have to be musicians, but they're like, they grew up their parents playing all type of stuff for them. So they're like, easily influenced by a lot of great music. But for me, it was not the case. It was like really me digging things I like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Like, and that's one of the good things about Shanghai as well. Going to just see these open mics and going to see original music. It's great to see all these bands. You also played being a pianist.
I wouldn't say pianist. No? I can play based on the music sheet. Yeah. So the thing I was gonna say is, like, I could play really complicated stuff, but I couldn't write anything, because the way I was trained is like, okay, you read the music sheet and you just play whatever it is on it,
Yes.
And I didn't realize it's a problem until I started learning guitar when I was 24. And because with guitar, I didn't learn any theory. I was just like messing around with guitar. I was just like, trying out this and trying out that. And I was able to write so much stuff just with very simple chords, just with a couple chords. I could already write a song. Yes. And that really opened up another world for me. And I felt so much freedom in terms of creating and creative expression.
Yes.
Also because I learned guitar when I was in the States.
Oh, great.
And my ex-boyfriend taught me how to play guitar.
I hear a little accent. Is there a little?
Yeah. I
American
went to
accent?
school in the States for a minute, and I guess because in the States, like, well, in Western societies, like, people think of music more like, have fun, enjoy. If you have an instrument, just play with it. But like in China, because we kind of use it from a very practical perspective. You gotta do this. You can go through the test, and then you get a certain certificate. So kids are actually not using instruments as a way to enjoy themselves at all. It's like you just gotta like play it out, that period. So I felt really sad. It's like I spent all this time learning how to play piano, but I couldn't write anything on piano.
Right.
I just don't have that type of intuition about this instrument. Whereas for guitar, it's a totally different experience. So I would say that's the way we learn instruments also reflect the cultural difference.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. And with like, let's talk about like the music that you've created, like your original music.
Mm-hmm.
How do you write a song? Like, when you first started to now, has that changed? Like the way that you create a song? How does it start? Do you come up with lyrics, or is it the music first, or how do you do it?
So I always create music when I was feeling something, or when I have like a very strong feeling.
Yeah.
So the first couple years of me playing guitar, it was always, I would say the first 3 years, I was too self-conscious to show anybody my original music, because everything was created when I was alone in my room, usually having a little sad, depressing moments, and it's very natural for me to just like grab the guitar and play some chords and just vibe with it and just like sing to it. So I would say my writing process on guitar is purely intuitive and very, very emotional. Yes. That's why I never really give it too much thought. Yes. It's just everything comes from my heart. That's why I had a hard time showing people, because it's so personal.
Yes.
So that's still how I write. Like, I will maybe play some chords. I will like figure out some chord progressions that I like, and then I start hum to it. And if some words came, I'll just build around those words. So I thought that's my processes, but later on I watched some interviews. I realized that's like how a lot of musicians create music.
Yes.
You just kind of go with it.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting how everybody has different ways of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I've always music and the rhythms, and with the rock style, it's all about the guitar riff. Mm-hmm. And building on that, and then getting da 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 da, and getting ideas for the vocals around the guitar part. So, but with you coming from that Chinese background, like it's so original. But do you feel like you're getting all these influences, but you're still like eyes wide open, right?
You mean musically?
Yeah.
I feel like all my music influence are like Western, like American music, though. So I don't really see any Chinese music influencing my music at all.
Okay. Do you have do you like a certain style of music, or are you sort of open, like with what you listen to?
I listen to everything.
Yes.
I would say right now definitely hip hop and R&B.
Okay.
Neo soul, that type of stuff.
Yes.
So this is my go-to, but I also listen to like a lot of electronic music, but like not anymore, but back then, or indie folk, indie music.
And is the electronic music, is that starting to get bigger here in China, do you think?
Yeah, it's been, because Shanghai has always been, we always have like quite a lot of underground techno or electronic music clubs, so I think it's always been there, and it's definitely growing, and I feel like there's more and more great DJ doing their thing around here, and people are learning DJ and music production as well. So there's definitely a community for electronic music, for sure. Also, I feel like for electronic music, it's more like international, global. Because I mean, there's no lyrics to it.
For sure.
Yeah, right. And it's just
moving. And
yeah,
how you feel
yeah, ambience and all that. So, but the type of music I like is definitely more, like hip hop, R&B. So that's like more related with like African American cultural stuff. So that would be a different type of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have the same musical influences when you're writing new songs now as when you first started writing music, or is it ever changing?
Right, that's a great question because I'm also producing my own stuff.
Great.
And sing to the beats. It's usually like trap soul beats or like R&B beats.
Nice.
I feel like when I do that, it's a very, very different creative process and vibe compared to when I play guitar and sing. Because when I play guitar and sing, I was more thinking about, Corn Bailey Ray or Amy Winehouse, the type of, songstress type of vibe. So, and usually, the theme is usually pretty sad because I love jazz chords, so it just always put me in a very sad mood for some reason, which is awesome. That's how I started. I felt like my biggest influence when I first started learning guitar is definitely Amy Winehouse, because I was like, those chords are beautiful, those songs are beautiful, let me get down this jazz chords real quick, let me just learn how to play those jazz chords. So before I could even learn how to play those major chords, I learned all the jazz chords first. It's actually easier to press on the guitar.
It's hard.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
I feel like bar chords are the hardest. If you think about do like a jazz chords, you actually don't need to bar anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, but when I sang to the beats, I was definitely more thinking about like like R&B singers that I like, or the type of hip hop or trap songs that I like.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So, vocalist, guitarist, the keyboards as well. So, like I said before, I've seen you play twice, maybe 3 times. We played at the 4-year anniversary of my place, local bar in Shanghai. I've spent many a time there, even when I wasn't living here. Watching you played, I think, after us, and just from watching you, I just got the feeling that it was pure. There was no,
thank you.
There was no sort of trying to act as if you want to be somebody else, trying to copy a style. It was just natural. Is it?
Yeah, I feel like I really don't know how to copy styles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah.
I definitely try to be myself all the time. I feel like that's why it took me a long time to feel comfortable playing my own music. Because I feel like if you're copying something, you kind of know, okay, it works out for him or her, then if I do things like this, it should be fine. Yes. But I don't want to copy anybody to begin with. So when I first started out playing my own original songs, I was so self-conscious. But I guess that's a good thing. It took me quite a while to feel comfortable, but I also feel like, it's authentic because I'm just really trying to be me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw you maybe a couple of weeks later. It was a very short gig, and we were the same. Cry Tribe?
Creative Tribe, yeah.
Creative Tribe. It was like a day-night festival in Shanghai on this rooftop.
Beautiful rooftop.
Yeah, it was amazing, and they had like these tattoo artists, and there was comedians.
It was a hippie gathering.
Yeah, it was a very hippie gathering.
Burning Man music.
Yeah, that's
Burning
right.
Man sort of rooftop version.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you guys, you're gonna go on after the fire throwers or the fire dancers, and it's like, did you stay the whole time there, or I can tell a little story about this.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm pretty sure your story's better.
Oh, it was crazy. Well, we were told we were going to go on about 11 o'clock, and we had all our friends, turn up at this time. The band that was on, it was like a bunch of DJs, and it was one DJ, and then it was 2 DJs, and that was 4 DJs, and that was just getting louder and louder and louder and louder. Anyway, 12 o'clock come, and we're still waiting. Anyway, then all of a sudden, the promoter of this ran out through the crowd, and apparently the police come. And they
remember that.
Yeah, they said they were getting all complaints, and then apparently he started like arguing with them and wanting to fight the police, and it was like, how could you not tell the neighbors or at least the neighbors that that there's going to be a festival and it might be a little bit loud. Anyway, we get up and it's like, you got 4 songs, and I was like,
yeah.
And then one of the guys who was so I was playing drums, and it's like, play softer. Play softer.
Right.
I was like, come on, man. I'm like, and then all our friends are there, and I was like, we can't hear you. I was like, so
yeah, it was a little annoying. Yeah, true. Like they try to control the volume and stuff.
But overall, like for us, it wasn't probably the best experience. But again, it shows that there were so many different styles of music, and are they going to continue doing that next year, or do you know? Or?
I don't really know their plan. But I know, I think the organizer is Cool Beings, right? I think
so, yes.
So they've been doing really amazing work in terms of promoting local artists.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like it's definitely like a grassroots organization or community for, you know, up and coming artists like me. So and they've been really supportive, and I think that's like the only thing that's doing such things right now, and I'm pretty sure they're still gonna keep it going.
That's good. I think they need to do it, and hopefully there'll be more people like that because that's such a great idea.
Yeah,
like,
and also I'm pretty close with the founders.
I
think they do these things really, you know, everything comes from a very pure place.
Yes.
Not really like for money or anything. That they just really want to support a local musician.
Yeah, that's.
So I think it's really nice to have a bunch of people,
like,
you know, working on this cause. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's one thing that I would like to do eventually, if or when I move back to Australia. I would like to start a music company down there, and firstly support the local music in my city, Newcastle. When I was growing up in high school, like we had some really, really big, successful bands. Silverchair was one of them. They had huge success. South America, the US, UK.
My friend is obsessed with Sticky Fingers.
Right. Yeah.
I like their music too.
Yes.
They're amazing.
But it's where Shanghai is slowly getting better with the live music and getting more opportunities. In Newcastle, it's going the other direction, which is really, really sad. So that's one thing that I would like to do when I go back.
What's the reason for it?
Just to get the music industry back into how it was. And
I was saying why the music industry in Newcastle was going down.
I think it's if you're gonna be serious about being in a band or being a musician or an entertainer, you have to move to Sydney. Unfortunately, you used to be able to play like regular gigs in Newcastle, but it's changed into like the cover bands where they're playing other people's music, and you want a cover band, it's going to be 200 people there, or you want 5 local original bands that are going to get just their friends. So I think more and more venues are going with the cover bands because they're getting more crowds, but then it takes away all the opportunities to play.
Right.
So here, with all the open mics, like, they don't even have open mics as far as I'm aware. So that's one thing that I would like to do when I get back there. And then with my connections here in Shanghai, like do like a little bit of a trade, have some music from Shanghai come to Newcastle, and then vice versa.
That would be super cool.
So that's something that I would like to do in the long run.
I definitely can see you do it.
Yeah,
because you're doing this thing.
It's
great stuff.
Well, this is also promoting. Is going to promote it as well.
Right.
So try and get as many local bands, musicians, entertainers. A lot of my listeners are from Australia, so obviously, it's going back home. So,
hi guys.
Yeah, hi.
I really appreciate you doing this.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And I hope everybody's going good down there. We were just talking about it before about the fires.
Right. Yeah. It's so sad.
And I hope everybody's doing well. Their families. Last time I checked, my family is doing good. Which is very, very lucky. But I hope everybody's doing good. And I hope they're getting some rain as well.
Definitely.
I heard last week they got 2 days of rain in our area. So but they're closing down schools and the pollution.
Yeah, that was
combination. So, and you told me earlier that you've been to Australia, right?
Yeah, I've been to Australia. I've been to Melbourne, Sydney, and
nice.
Brisbane. Yeah.
And what was your favorite?
My favorite is definitely Melbourne.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty predictable because it's like a young, hip city. And and seems like there's like a lot of artsy stuff going on. I was there for just a couple of days, but that's my impression. I remember there's like a square or something in Melbourne, like the downtown.
Yes.
That part is super cool.
Yes.
Whereas in Sydney, it was pretty like, it seems like there's like a lot of financial business stuff going on, so it got a like different vibe. Definitely. And Brisbane is very, very beautiful as well.
And a lot of the bands, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I can see, the trend is more people going to Melbourne now rather than even Sydney. Creatively, if you want to do any sort of musical.
Yeah, right.
They have all the venues for live music and producers and getting signs. So if you're going to take it seriously,
I just feel like my impression of Melbourne is like, there's really beautiful houses and graffiti arts and young people, and just the city has a very creative vibe, and there's an edge to it, so I love it. And
I'm sorry guys, but I've always said it even with my friends, if I had a choice to live either Sydney or Melbourne, that would probably be Melbourne. I'm sorry guys, but it's super cold in the winter.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not a fan. Not a fan of the cold, but like you said.
So Sydney is not cold.
It depends what your cold. The cold is like not in the north. They don't get much snow, but it'll be like this. This will be the coldest it'll get, like here in Shanghai. So yeah, it's very interesting. And is there any other things that you found about Australia? Did you get used to the accent? Did you hear some gnarly accents? Some interesting accents.
Interesting accent.
In Australia.
Because honestly, I went there with my family, so it's like a family trip. I think the best memory of the whole trip is that we went to where was it? Ocean? What is it?
Great Ocean Road.
Yeah. Great Ocean Road.
Yes.
The famous one.
Then did you see the penguins there down there as well?
We didn't see the penguins, but we drove along the coast, I guess, and we stayed in. I found an Airbnb that's like in the middle of like some forest.
Yeah.
So they have like all this like a lot of cows, a lot of animals, and alpacas and stuff. So it's like a farmhouse. It's a local farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, literally. And for my mom especially, and my family, we're from big cities in China. You don't really see this type of thing. And I arranged this Airbnb experience. It's super. They loved it.
Really?
So I feel like this is like a very cool Australian experience.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because my mother and my sister come to visit me last year in Shanghai, and my mum has been to all the. She's been to Europe and Canada and the US, and she's done a bit of traveling. That was her first time to an Asian country, so they went to Hong Kong, and then they saw me for a week, and she had some interesting experiences.
It's very interesting, definitely. And also, I remember I went to Gold Coast as well.
Oh, nice, yes. Very very touristy, very beautiful.
Yeah. Honestly, like I'm not a huge like personally though, just personally, I'm not a huge fan of beautiful beach, but with all these skyscrapers on the sides, that's kind of ruining the whole vibe.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
It's very convenient and very fancy, I would say.
it's good to visit.
And also, when I was there, it's cold, so we didn't really get to swim or anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you in like the winter time, like mid.
I guess maybe we went there in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally it's just starting to go into our summer, so it may have been
Right.
cold.
Those couple days weren't as warm, so.
Okay. And sorry, getting back to the US, where did you stay in the US when you were there?
I did my college in Nigeria. Yeah. So I did an exchange program in the States, in Washington, D.C.
Washington.
Yeah, so I did an exchange semester there. And then I came back, and then I went there again at Georgetown in D.C.
Right.
Georgetown University for graduate school.
Nice.
So, yeah, like that was both of the experiences were in D.C.
So you did your degree there. Did you follow that, like with your current job now, or
no, not at all. It was completely different.
It's so funny. I did the same thing. My first major was IT.
Okay.
And
that sounds cool.
I'm an English teacher.
I wish I could learn something about technology.
Yeah. Well, and then I moved to Sydney as an IT. And it just didn't work. Maybe at the time I was just like, this is not working. So anyway.
Yeah, I get a feeling like you're more interested in like meeting people and communication.
Definitely.
And more like cultural stuff instead of like dealing with machines. IT.
Definitely. Sitting behind a computer.
That's how I feel as well, because when I was at Georgetown, I studied public policy, and the first year I realized if I want to pursue down this path, or any type of corporate jobs or like jobs in that field, or even like finance or economics, like you pretty much sit in front of the computer processing data.
Yes.
And doing all that type of jobs, like the ideal of it sounds like really depressing to me. So I think that was the time I realized, like, intellectually I love it. Really, yes. I really love economics and math and policy studies and everything. But beyond that, professionally, I don't want to do that.
Yes.
So I actually quit after a year, and I came back to China and started doing the startups, and I want to do more creative things.
Great.
So I think sometimes I guess it takes some trial and error to like really realize what you love.
Yes.
And if you're an artist, I'm an artist, and
yes.
I guess there's certain things that artists just would not enjoy.
That's
at all.
Right. Definitely. Did you get an opportunity in the US to see any live music, or did you play any gigs in Washington, or was it just purely for just study?
I did a street performance in DC.
Right.
Yeah.
How did that go?
That was so fun. I was so nervous because back then I've started learning guitar for probably just, I don't know, 2 months. I could barely play guitar. But me and my friend, we just decided to do a street performance. So we both were super, super nervous.
Right.
So I was playing my, showing my shitty ass skills and everything. And, but people actually were really supportive. There's like a couple of people that would like stood there and watch us playing and singing for like 5-10 minutes on the street in the corner, in the corner of the street. And there's a woman that gave us like $20 bill,
wow.
put in the guitar case that we put in front of us. So that was a huge encouragement for our first shitty performance. So we actually made like $30 in an hour. So we bought a pizza to celebrate. That was really great. That was the first time I ever performed guitar in front of people. So
what was your first? How much did you make in your first paid gig?
A first paid gig, I would say it's the Rooster here in Shanghai.
Yes.
Yeah, I was super lucky enough to have met the John. He's the owner, one of the owners of the Rooster, and he gave me the opportunity to perform there. And then Chase, He's the manager and I guess one of the owners as well. They're super nice and supportive. I think that was my first paid gig. It's just I wasn't even that great back then, I think, but it's just the whole vibe was on point and people were supportive. So
Did you get more than $8 Australian?
$8? Yeah, pretty much around $8.
That's what we got.
No, it's gotta be, because remember the first time the street performance, I made $30 in an hour.
Come on,
it's a good start.
Let's go back there now. I got my guitar over here. Let's go. Let's jam it out. Yeah, we got $8, so we got 2 beers and a Coke for that.
That's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
So that's a bit of you get like a cut of the bar or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
like even now, I would totally play for free. Just
of course, fun. Yeah.
So,
like me and Josh talking about earlier, our bass player is in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Our keyboardist is in England.
Okay.
And we're still going up and jamming. And we go to the YYT bar normally on Monday nights, and we just go up there and just play our songs.
That's
great.
Cool.
Yeah. So
all about having fun.
Yeah. For sure. Guitarist, vocalist. Okay, I've seen you. There's quite a few videos on. There's a few on YouTube, just playing like an outdoor. But I've also seen some modeling pictures as well. Tell me about this.
Modeling, though, that was just for fun.
Do you have friends?
I have photography friends. Actually, I did modeling twice. Paid gig.
All right.
One time it was for Dove. It was like a online campaign.
Right.
Yeah, that was a really fun experience. Another time it was a commercial project for PayPal.
All right.
So yeah, well, it was. I would say it was modeling, but it was more like amateur modeling type of thing. They're looking for people who don't look like, obviously more look like everyday people.
Yes.
And but you gotta be you gotta look better than everyday. That's hard. But you're not like model. It's not they don't want like model So that's kind of cool. It's fun.
Yeah, that's good. It's super important for Chinese people. And it's not just China; it's Japan and it's Korea, to have
a white face, white supremacy stuff. I get it, because it's like everything with a white face that just looks instantly 10 times better. That type of situation. And I guess the trend is shifting a little bit now, but it is still a thing in Asia, unfortunately.
It's so funny. I come here and all the girls want to be white. And
light skin.
And then I go back home, and all the girls want to be tanned, and they go to these spray tans and pay $300 to be as dark and brown as they can. Yeah. So it's a different. But coming here, sometimes I felt like a little puppet. Okay, go out and you're the white. So
that's quite unfortunate in a way. Like I think China's lack of the understanding and embracing of variety and diversity, for sure. Like people, the media, they just endorse one type of beauty or one type of good and bad. So it's. Well, it's just because of lack of diversity. I guess we are having a lot of problems, and especially when it culturally or even just personal, and also just the personal development. It's like everybody's trying to fit in a box, that the society wants you to fit in, and people are having a harder time to express themselves. Freely, because I know so many Chinese people that's super amazing.
Yes,
have their own unique personality, individualities, but unfortunately, we grew up and we live in a society where that is not appreciated. And I see, from my perspective, I went through a lot of struggle just to be able to express myself freely and just to be myself.
Yes.
That type of mental pressure is kind of China specific.
Yes. I'll give you an example. I had this girl. She was African American from Chicago. She has
I love Chicago.
a degree in linguistics and English literature.
Wow.
She had a kid, and she had a job in Beijing, and it was coming up to the end, and she was wanting to come to Suzhou. That's where the job was at the time. We had an office here in Shanghai and Suzhou, and just talking to her, and it's like, I've got this experience in Beijing and back in the US. I said, I've got a bachelor's degree. I get the work visa, and I was like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
When can you start? Oh, I can come this week. I'll buy a ticket and we'll arrange it, and then. I won't mention the name, but the person who was in charge just asked me. I said, "Look, I got this girl. She's amazing. She'll fit in. She'll be able to train our teachers. She'll be the best teacher we've got. Can I see a photo?" Sure. Craig, we can't hire this girl. And it's like, why? And it's like, oh. And I had to call. I bet Hal was the one that had to call her up and tell her.
What's the reason they gave?
I didn't. Well, that was because of. But I couldn't say that. But it was because of the.
Oh yeah, the color.
The skin tone. Yeah. I'm seeing now that the new generation here in China has a totally different look. But the parents and especially the grandparents, and I can totally understand, but to not give a person a job that's fully qualified, actually overqualified, just because.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like China has a very, well, you could say it's kind of like racism, but it's a different kind of racism compared to the States or like other places, because it's coming straight up from lack of access to information. Like people here don't grow up seeing black people at all, or like people of color, or even white people. Like you don't really see them at all. So all the information about people other than Asian or Chinese, like you get that from TV and stuff. So your ideal of the world, your whole perception about the world is completely based on what the TV shows you. And that's super biased in a lot of ways. It's not like intrinsically people are judgmental towards, people's ethnicities or nationalities. I think it's just most of the Chinese people, they just don't know. They don't have access or they don't have access to information or to what the world actually looks like. And
do you think that
it is very sad and it's ignorant, but I also understand it.
Yes. Like we can also relate that to music, the music business as well.
Right.
Not necessarily the skin color, but it helps to be attractive. You know what I mean? You're trying to sell a product. You're trying to sell your music. So, there's been bands that I know in Australia that are amazing musicians and their songs are brilliant. But because they don't have the
look,
the image that they're looking for, they don't. So there's the good and the bad with.
Yeah, right. And I feel like it's true. I feel like there's something those things are beyond your control, right? Like how the industry set the standard, or like how the company or like people who hire musicians, how they want you to look is. You can't really control those things. I definitely have experienced situations where if I have a gig, they want me to wear something super sexy or fancy, something that's not my style. It's not even sexy, something that's just not I would wear, And I just don't want to do that because like I can't be anyone else.
But that's the thing, we're talking about being pure, and your music is like so just natural, and then all of a sudden
I would say there's definitely always just going to be people who doesn't like you and people who love you, and just go for people who love your style, and also just owning your own style is really important.
And how do you react to that? Like, have you had, obviously, you're going to get a lot of people coming up saying, yes, your music is great, which I agree. But have you had some people that come up and say, well, it's not very good, or how do you react to constructive criticism,
I actually never had people come to me and say, your music sucks. I think that's an asshole move. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm not a big celebrity or anything. I'm not big enough and important enough for people to judge, I'm just like a regular person doing the gig, I guess. So, also, I don't have that kind of arrogance going on with me. So usually people come to me to like encourage me and just give me compliments, which is really, really good, because I feel like even to this day I still have some insecurities, and like sometimes I don't feel as confident about my music and singing. So I think that when people give me the feedback, it's always very positive, and I really appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure there's people who don't like the stuff I do, but they just don't tell me. So I thank them for not tagging me in that regard.
Yeah, and it's also maybe like different styles of music as well. I mean, your music is like very easy listening, where some of the style of music that I've played previously is not so easy. Like, not everybody likes. And I remember we had a we put a website on. We were super proud. It was like, yes, our first website, and we had our songs on there.
Yeah.
And then we put like a forum, like put your suggestions and what we could do better. And and I went on there one day and I was like, whoa. They just saying how our live act is not good, and we should give up, and it's like, why? Like, it's just sometimes they've gone on there, they've seen us play, they've spent all the time to go onto our website, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was not nice. Yeah, but actually, it did remind me that when I first started out, I think last year I was like much more comfortable with myself. So actually, I got like good feedbacks. But before that, I did have experiences. Actually, I would say it's me, because I was not fully embracing who I am. But I did have a lot of experiences where I do a gig and people say like, oh, you need to play more like, because back then I was doing more cover songs.
Right.
More of a cover songs, and people would be like, oh, you should play more like upbeat songs, and songs that people can dance to, or like pop songs that everybody can sing along to. And I was really kind of under pressure, or like I was self-conscious enough to feel like I should.
Yeah.
But although the real music, the real style of my music is like kind of slow jams, and it's just like slow, chill songs. I'm a very chill person. I can't really, like, I like upbeat music, but I don't play upbeat, or I don't sing upbeat music, But back then I did try to like do more commercial songs and pop songs, and try to be more upbeat, and trying to get people to dance. It didn't really work out that way, because I was not feeling it. But I was trying to please, I wasn't going to say please people, but I was trying to get people to like me.
Yes.
By trying to fit myself in a certain box. But then I gave up, because that was just so weird. I think, but I wouldn't blame it on people though. I think it was me not able to hold my grounds and saying like, I'm not doing that stuff. I'm doing my slow jams.
Good,
so so last year I've been like really embracing who I am.
Yes.
If I want to play slow songs, I do it, and it turns out that people love it.
That's good. That's great. And what does your parents think of this? Have your parents, have they seen you play? What's their feedback?
They're actually pretty supportive.
Yeah.
Very unexpectedly, because I remember when I was a kid or when I was younger, they definitely would not be happy with the idea of me like doing music almost full time.
So they've grown as well.
Yeah, I felt like I grew up and I did a lot of things that earned their respect, and then they understand like you are making a choice. You're not just messing around. You actually made a conscious choice, and you have the ability to, make this work it out. And I did. Like, my parents know that I'm actually like making money from it, and like I have a plan and this and that. My dad was they actually came to my Beer Nanza, right? My parents and their friends actually came to Beer Nanza 2 years ago to support me and watch me play.
Actually, I think I saw it on online. A couple of those songs.
Oh yeah,
on
maybe
YouTube?
it was
YouTube.
YouTube.
One of your friends from the beer. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it's on YouTube, but yeah, they're pretty supportive. Which is very hard for Chinese parents because, I mean, to be able to accept that your daughter is like quitting all the stuff but just want to do music is, I think that takes a lot in the parents to support it. But at the same time, I felt like I did a good job in proving them that I'm doing okay.
Yeah. With that as well, and I'm learning still, living here, just growing up in Australia all my life and then coming here, such different cultures, and meeting all these amazing, really, really nice people. But I did notice, and maybe it's like a tradition, but when if you have a girl, a daughter, and they get to a certain age, the parents are like forcing them to get married and have babies.
It happens to a lot of my friends.
Yes.
Not me, fortunately.
Okay. That's great.
I think that my parents just gave up.
Yeah. So were you pressured when you were like living in Nanjing?
No, they never give me any pressure in terms of getting married and have kids. I'm lucky enough to live off that. Like, I don't have that type of pressure, but a lot of my friends, they do. And I don't know, I feel really sad for them because, I mean, having someone to marry is like, you don't get to decide that, it's not like, okay, I want to get married tomorrow, I'm gonna find myself a husband. Like, love doesn't work out that way.
Of course.
Like, if you want to, like, how do you even pressure someone into a relationship? That's kind of stupid.
Yeah. And I thought maybe that's like a traditional way, and hopefully like because Shanghai is a very modern city. It's got a lot of different sort of cultures here, so I feel that everything is changing for the better.
True.
Here in Shanghai.
I'm very sad that they closed. It's not they closed, but like a lot of underground clubs are closed down.
Why? Why is it government?
Yeah, shelter, because they wanted to tear down the old buildings and then build new buildings. But a lot of underground clubs they were in the old buildings, so they're just gone now.
Right. Yeah. Oh. Well, what music are you listening to now?
What type of music I'm listening to?
Yeah.
I listen to mostly R&B and hip hop lately.
Still? That's your that's your go-to.
That's my vibe.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. There's always, but
also I'm studying. Like, this is the type of music I want to make. So I'm also like, I don't come from that culture, so there's so much I don't know about. And I'm constantly picking up information from my friends, from online. So I'm like really doing my study and research.
Well, in saying that, what new music? Like, I know you got your favorites, but are you listening to any sort of new music at the moment? Like, or any local music, Shanghainese?
No, but yes, I went to a Dada closing party the other day, so they were playing some electronic music that has a lot of elements. Like, they have a song that they're just saying all the streets name and the like a museum's name being Chinese. That's super cool.
Yeah, right.
Super cool. So I like the idea of blending the Chinese elements into sort of Western music framework, and also I am following like some like Chinese artists who are going international, like 88 Risings, like this music label that they promote Asian American artists and Asian artists. So I think that's super cool. And also, I love music that has Chinese elements to it. So.
That's great. I would like to learn that really cool traditional Chinese, like it looks like a guitar.
Those are super hard. Because it's easy
I love
to
the sound of
yeah, because it's easy to produce the sound. Like you just download some plugins and you can play those sounds from computer. It's way easier.
Right.
It's like actually studying those type of instruments is really hard.
Yeah, I watched a band play that, and I could just sit there and listen to it because playing the guitar and having all the sounds that and then all of a sudden, ooh, that's pretty interesting. All right, last question, and it'll probably zoom into all these other questions.
Yeah,
but,
these are great questions.
But for the future, what do you plan to do musically, recording wise? Have you got a bunch of new songs that you're going to record? Are you in the recording process? Where are you up to now?
Right, that's a great question. Because the last couple of years I've been just doing gigs.
Right.
So I actually I'm taking a little break from all the gigs at the moment because I want to do more recording and.
What are your fans gonna say? What are your fans?
My fans, they just cry their eyes out at night in the bed alone.
They'll have to listen to Alicia Keys like you, am I right there?
My friends are okay. My friends are very understandable. They understand like my choice. I don't really know where my fans are, but I do feel like it's a very necessary step for me as an artist because like I don't want to follow anyone else, so I still want to try to find what fits me better, like what type of stuff I want to do. So
sorry. So keep going.
So currently I'm learning how to produce music. I'm recording at home. That takes a long time to, it always takes me a long time to like be able to show people something.
Right.
But I think that's a very necessary process. I mean, the process itself and the journey itself is the whole thing, right? Like sometimes I feel like maybe I'm too like self-conscious about the things I'm doing, but I feel like I am growing so much as a person as well, just because I want to do better as an artist. So right now it's like a self-reflection time, and my next step is definitely to release some music, well recorded and produced stuff. And
with that, how do you select musicians? Like I've noticed that I think I must have seen you more than twice. But even watching it on online, I've noticed that you've been with other musicians, other bands. So how do you choose that? Is it just friends, or is it like you see these guys play and then you go, oh, you know what, you guys would fit what the music that I'm playing at the moment? How do you decide that?
Right. I do solo gigs for the most part, but when I do play with the bands, it's usually friends, or like if the client wants certain type of things, I would just go out search for certain like drummers or whatever. But that doesn't really happen a lot. It's usually people who I know and who are my friends, because for me, like being able to vibe with other musicians is really important.
Yeah.
So.
And even with the recording process, like when you record your own tracks, do you have other musicians come in, or is it you just want to focus on what you do? I
definitely do want to collab, and
yes.
I do want to, like, I'm meeting musician friends. I hang out with musician friends all the time, so we always try to work things out. I think it's a combination of both. Like, I need to figure out my own style, but I also want to collab with people. I'm still like figuring things out, to be honest. So I feel like just go with the flow.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like I think it's more important to like meet the right people and this.
Yes,
and that.
Of course.
But I feel like if you don't even know yourself, if you haven't established your own personal preference first, meeting people is just gonna be a distraction.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you want to be your best self, and then you can attract the right people to be your music partners, right?
Yes.
So I'm really like taking a lot of time to figure out who I am, what type of music I want to make,
yes.
what's my vibe,
well, you're also saying that you used to do DJ. Yeah. Is there like a collaboration to do that, like with your acoustic, maybe mixing it, or like having an acoustic song and then an electric song, or?
Yeah, I was really lucky enough to be able to DJ with like one of the, the most well-known and prestigious hip-hop group in Shanghai. It's called Concrete Crew. So they do old school hip-hop DJing stuff for like many years already. Yeah. And when I joined the team, it's like a bunch of very experienced DJ. We DJ every week, and they really taught me a lot. So that was some sort of collaboration. We do have our individual sets, but we do like they did teach me a lot of things. But I did try to combine the DJing with my acoustic guitar and singing stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did a show in I forgot the name of the club, but yeah, it was really good. It's like underground club, but I was playing guitar and singing. Yeah, it was super cool. Everybody loved it.
Nice, that's great. All right, like I said, that question turned into two others. Is there anything that you want to sort of promote that you're doing? Any upcoming gigs? You said that you're going to take some time off, but are there any gigs, or are there any websites or things that you're doing that you want to promote?
I guess right now the only thing I can promote is my Instagram page, because I post of my post random.
You've got an Instagram page? Oh, Google, you're letting me down. Oh.
See, you gotta do the social media search better.
Yeah,
Instagram. No, my bad, because I didn't even like post anything. Because to be honest, I feel like I haven't even like get all my shit together to even like put stuff out there. So I feel like when I do want to promote, I want to like give it a big push. But right now, I'm still figuring things out myself. That's why I was like mysterious and low key.
Yeah.
But also because I was just not doing a good job in terms of marketing. But I do have a Instagram page where I just post
what is it? What is it?
Smile with Yanran. So Smile, Yanran is Yanran. Awesome. Smile with Yanran. Actually, Yanran is my Chinese name. In Chinese, it means beautiful smile.
Oh, you did.
Thank you.
Is there any websites that we can download your music, or like any links?
Not yet, but it's definitely coming out. Because I'm recording stuff, so hopefully I can release something online soon.
Well, you need to come back then when you've finished recording.
Yeah, definitely I will.
Come back and we'll talk about your CD, and we'll play some music on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, Yanran.
Thank you so much.
Nice. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Craig.
All right. This is Yanran on Tell Craig Your Story podcast.
的他和狼狈失败的我，也反正好过。反反复复的虚伪，唯唯诺诺的后退，他真的适合